I want you to imagine this. It's the Super Bowl. Your favorite team is in it. You're down by 2 points. There's 20 seconds left, and your team is driving at the 40-yard line. And then all of a sudden, it seems like the coach has a fantastic idea. He pulls the quarterback out for the left tackle, and then all of a sudden, he pulls the left tackle out for a linebacker, and then all of a sudden, he pulls a wide receiver out, and instead he puts in the defensive end. Wait a minute, is this really a smart idea with 20 seconds left? Of course not. Why? In football and in sports in general, specific players play a specific position. And that position is in line with their strengths, and the players stay away from positions that are not in line with their strengths. You maximize production that way. Business is the same exact thing. As a business owner or professional or entrepreneur, your job is to make sure that you put your business in positions to succeed while keeping your business away from situations in which you could fail. And the best news is there's a fantastic tool that you can use to help you identify items such as this. It's called a SWOT analysis. And that's what we're going to talk about this video in detail on how you can use this SWOT analysis to help your business find the best opportunities to succeed and to drive your business forward. So we're going to be back right after the intro. Get ready to succeed. Okay, in business, one of the most important things that we need to do as business managers, business professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, one of the most important things we need to do is to be able to manage our resources. And we need to understand exactly what is it that our business is good at. We need to be able to look at our staff and our team and realize who is good at what. And then we got to make sure that we put our business as well as individuals within our business in positions for them to succeed. Because when people succeed, even at the smallest battles, little by little, now the entire organization succeeds. Likewise, it's also important for us as business leaders to make sure that we understand what our organization is not good at. And we need to make sure that we prevent our organization from being in situations where we would potentially fail at. Even in teams, in managing individuals. Not only do we know that individuals have things that they are good at producing, but listen, no one's perfect. Everyone has things that they're not good at. So we need to prevent them from being in situations that they could fail at. There's a fantastic tool in business that actually helps us monitor this, identify this, manage this. It's called a SWOT analysis. And many of you have probably been introduced to a SWOT analysis. It's a very well-known used tool. People talk about it in business classes all the time. But I will say this. I do think the majority of people who understand what a SWOT analysis is, they were never taught properly how to actually use this tool and how it can be so effective. And that's one of the things I want to share with you today. This is something I'm really excited about because a SWOT analysis, in my opinion, is one of the best business tools that you could use. And I do think if you learn how to use it effectively, it's going to do a number of things for you. It's going to help you manage the different situations that you put your business in a lot more effectively. And also what it's going to do, it's going to help you be a better leader. It's going to help you manage your team better. It's going to help you identify what situations each member of your team should be placed in so they can succeed as well as the entire organization succeed as well. All right, does that make sense? So for those of you who are familiar with a SWOT analysis, the SWOT stands for S is strengths, W is weaknesses, O is opportunities, and T is threats. And you can see we have a graph here with 4 quadrants, a graph here at 4 quadrants. So what I want to do first is let's examine each one of these individually, and then I'm going to give you some tips on how to actually implement this into your business, okay? So the first one is strengths. So what exactly is a strength? So, well, a strength is your core competency. It is pretty much what do you do well, or what resources do you have that are valuable. So when we're talking about resources, what exactly are we talking about? Well, it could be intellectual property. Do you have any patents or copyrights that any technology that you actually have protected that other individuals cannot use? Financial. Do you have a lot of money in the bank? Do you have a lot of investments? Do you have a lot of assets? Do you have a lot of real estate? All right. Financial could be a strength. Brand loyalty. Obviously, if you are a brand that customers know and that customers do repeat business with on an ongoing basis, that is a tremendous strength. Maybe it's a customer base. You already have a built-in customer base, right? So these are some valuable resources. They could also be raw materials or maybe processed materials, right? Anything that your business holds that is of value, that is a valuable resource. But it also goes beyond that. What do you do well? Maybe your team is extremely trained in this area of business. Or maybe your team is extremely trained in creating new R&D devices. Or maybe your industry or your business has an unbelievable sales force that just can always hit goals. Maybe your business is very tech savvy. Whatever it is, what is it that you do well? What are your valuable resources? What do you have that others do not? And here's another interesting one. Who do you have that is a unique asset? Who do you have in your organization that is a unique asset? Now, what do I mean by that? You will agree that Elon Musk is a tremendous value to Tesla. Steve Jobs was a tremendous value to Apple. Walt Disney was a tremendous value to the Walt Disney Company. Is there an individual or is there a culture that is of value in your organization, right? So when we're talking about strengths, we're talking about tangible as far as our resources, but we're also talking about the intangible. What do we do well? What do we have the expertise in? What do we know that we can execute? What systems do we have in place? And who is the team that we have in place? Okay, so that is strengths. Now what we want to do is we want to identify our weaknesses. Just like everyone has things that they do very well, we all have things that we're not the best at, which is perfectly okay. We just have to identify it and be honest about it. So weakness, what are our core weaknesses? You can start by asking, what are you inexperienced in? If you ask me to do something that has to do with chemistry, I'm not a chemist. I have no experience in it. If you ask me to do something that has to do with engineering and you want me to design a lamp, I couldn't do that for you. That's not something I have experience in. What is your company inexperienced in? Or if you're looking at your teammates and different members of your team, what are they inexperienced in, right? So we don't want, if I was on a team and you had to design a lighting diagram for a new building, why would you assign that to me? I don't have experience in it, right? And you need to know what you're not good at. Just like as a strength, it could be an abundance of resources. A weakness could also be a lack of resources. Maybe you're in an industry that doesn't have IP, right? Maybe we're going to be talking about an example of coffee, and really there's a lack of IP in that type of an industry. Maybe you're a new business and you just don't have a customer base yet. Maybe you don't have brand loyalty yet. Maybe something happened in your business and your financials aren't as strong as they need to be. Or maybe you're just a smaller business and you just don't have the money that the larger businesses have, right? All of this stuff is okay. We have to just identify it. I'm sure there are things that you do not do well or your organization is not the best at. Okay, let's identify that. Here's something that's interesting. What do others have that you do not? So if other organizations have more resources than you, or they have more funds than you, it's important to identify that. This one's interesting to the next one. Who do others have that you do not? And it might not just be an individual, it could also be a skill set. Maybe in your organization, you don't have the expertise to execute a successful sales team. Maybe you don't have the expertise to go out and get funding. Maybe you don't have the expertise, or you don't have someone in your organization that's fantastic with supply chain or optimization, or making sure that your organization is running as efficient as possible. All right. So just like we have identified our strengths, we also want to identify our weaknesses, tangible as well as intangible. Now it gets pretty interesting, because after we've identified our strengths and weaknesses, now we want to start looking at our opportunities. Where are there opportunities in the marketplace where we can grow our business, or we can earn a profit, or we can get more sales? All right. And okay, where exactly do these opportunities come from? What we already talked about, a positioning map. We talked about consumer perception. Where are there gaps in the marketplace? We also talked about buyer personas. Is there something in the buyer persona that your target audience wants, or they would love to have, or they could find very useful, that's not currently being provided, or it's not currently being provided effectively, right? So that is a possible opportunity for you to emerge in. You could also look at current solutions that you can actually make better. Maybe there is a device on the market and you have a way to actually make it perform better. Maybe there's a product on the market already, but you can make it more effective or more efficient. Substitutes for a current solution. Netflix did this with home video. They actually saw that in the home video market, if someone wanted to watch a movie at home, they physically had to go to a Blockbuster, pay $2, $3 a day, drive back to the house, put the movie in the VCR, rewind it when it's finished, and then drive it back. When instead, if someone wants to watch a movie at home, now we don't need to go out or go to the store or do anything like that. We just click a button and we can watch the movie that we want. It's a substitute. Niche down, we've already talked about niche down strategies that you can use effectively. Could that be an opportunity for you? Or maybe instead of niching down, you want to do the opposite. You actually want to add more segments as a new base for you to increase your sales. Maybe you can actually decrease your price to increase your sales, right? So these are all various opportunities. You're not going to succeed in all of these because some of them contradict each other, right? You're not going to niche down and then add a segment, right? Those two are completely different. But what opportunities fit your business? What opportunities fit your business? And ideally what we want to do is we want to look at our strengths. What are we good at? What can we execute? What resources do we have? Okay, what opportunities are best fit or are a best match for these resources that we have? All right, so you want to make a list of what those different opportunities are. But just like we need to identify our weaknesses, we also have to identify our threats. What could be a threat to the company? What could be a threat to the performance of one of our team members? All right, so how exactly do we find what our threats are? How do we identify our threats? Well, the first thing is you can start with your weaknesses. Look at your weaknesses. How could this weakness become a threat to the business? So if my weakness is engineering, and if you assign me to do an electrical engineering diagram for a new business, what is that threat? You're not going to pass inspection because I don't know what I'm doing. The inspectors are never going to pass it because I'm not going to do it properly. All right? That's a threat. If you don't have the capital to launch this new division, what could the threat be? Well, you don't have the money to launch it. That could easily be the threat. All right? So you need to identify this. Now, let me just say something. If you want to launch a new division or a new product or a new business and you don't have the money to do it, I'm not saying that's the end of the business. You can't do it. And this is exactly why this tool is so effective. It just brings to mind, okay, we want to launch this new business. We don't have the money for it. So what can we do? What do we need to do? How do we compensate it? This helps organize all of those thoughts so you know exactly what has to be done, what needs to be done, what can be done, and what can't be done, so you can plan accordingly. All right? So threats, you start with the weaknesses. Target audience. What could prevent your target audience from buying from you? Why would your target audience not want to buy from you? What are those options? Let's write them down. Competition. How could your competition steal business from you? Or how could your competition prevent you from launching your product successfully? All right, what are all the things that they could do? Think about that. The next series of items is what we call PESTEL. Political, economical, social, technological, environmental, legal. What are those potential threats? Depending on who wins the election or who is in power, does that have an alteration on your type of business? What is going on in the economy? Is that going to have an impact on your business? Obviously, with the economy, and as of this recording, inflation is extremely high. House prices are extremely high. If you're selling a house, it's fantastic. But if you're buying a house, it's challenging because house prices are so inflated right now. That's an economical threat. Social, right? What's going on in the social climate, the pop culture right now. Technological. Is the technology available to actually execute what you're trying to execute? Do you have access to that technology? Environmental. Obviously, if you live in Florida, you need to be well aware of environmental elements with hurricanes and storms coming in. And finally is legal. Is there a chance someone could sue you? Is there a chance that someone could steal your business? What do you need to be protected of on a legal mindset? So you can see by doing this analysis, this is pretty much a risk analysis as well. It really helps you identify all of the different areas of your business or all the different forces outside of your business that could be a threat to your business, all right? It helps you identify all the outside forces that could be a threat to your business. And then, boom, here you go. Here is exactly what the SWOT analysis is, right? So now you have your 4 quadrants. Your strengths is on the top left, weaknesses is on the top right, opportunities on the bottom left, threats on the bottom right. This is a fantastic tool to have at your disposal. A fantastic tool. Because now what you do is this turns into it becomes a running, working database for you. It turns into a working database for you. You're always trying to convert your strengths into opportunities. You're always trying to limit your threats. You're always trying to identify what weaknesses you can convert to strengths and what weaknesses just are not possible. All right? So let me give you a quick example. Later on in this competition series, we are going to be doing a case study on the start of Starbucks in the 1980s. It is a case study from Harvard Business Review, and that's where a lot of these stats come from. So if you've watched this video on the case study, here are some stats that you found. So we're thinking of Starbucks in the 1980s, right when they're about to launch. So what were some of the strengths that Starbucks had as they're about to launch their company? Well, specialty coffee did $45 million in sales in 1969, but they did $750 million in sales in 1980. So it shows you a tremendous trend upward in specialty coffee. Another strength is in the trend of specialty coffee, companies, Peet's is an example of it, could actually charge twice as much as regular coffee. So you had a nice structure of a premium pricing strategy that's built in to that trend. In Italy, there's 20,000 espresso bars throughout the country, and they continue to grow. They're always busy. When Schwartz started I can't even speak Italian today, which I should. El Giornale, he was getting 1,000 customers a day. That is fantastic for a small local cafe. When he bought Starbucks, he had a total of 9 stores, a roasting plant, as well as 100 employees. In 1989, they focused on baristas offering to improve customer experience, right? And pay attention to this. This is pretty interesting. It cost $3,000 in the 1980s to train an employee, but it only costs $1,500 to provide health care. So obviously, if you trained an employee, you provided them with good health care for them to stay on the job and to treat their customers well and to have a positive experience, and they stay with the company, it would actually save the company in the long run. Systems that they put into place, they grew almost 300% from 1990 to 1992. I want to express a couple of key points here. When you're doing your strengths, one of the most important things that you want to try to do is quantify the items when possible. Quantify the items. And what do I mean by that? Well, I could say that specialty coffee is on the rise. But how much on the rise is it? Is it a little? Is it a lot? Well, if I tell you that it did $45 million in this industry in 1969 and it's doing $750 million in 1980, okay, now that tells me and that gives perspective how much that trend is up. That's what I mean by quantifying. Don't just say something is good or bad. Give numbers that illustrate it. Okay, instead of saying there's a lot of espresso bars in Italy, okay, how many? 20,000. Perfect. Don't say I have a lot of customers a day. Okay, how many customers do I have a day? 1,000. Don't say my business is increasing. Okay, how much is it increasing? 300% from 1990 to 1992. This is really important, especially when you get into in-depth analysis. This is really important, especially when you get into more in-depth analysis. So I'm not going to read every single line on this SWOT analysis. For those of you who are listening on an audio platform, feel free to go to the video to see it. For those of you watching this on a video platform, feel free to hit pause and you could read through this example if you want. It's just going to take me too long to go through every little one. But it gives you a fantastic example of exactly, okay, in 1980s, as Starbucks was about to launch, what were the strengths going for them? What were the weaknesses going against them? What were the opportunities that they could actually grow into? And what were the threats that they had to be mindful of? All right. Here's a key question. Why is it that the SWOT analysis is so powerful? Why is the SWOT analysis so powerful? This is a fantastic tool for a number of different reasons. Number one, it helps you to organize your data, right? In one place, you can see all of your strengths, all of your weaknesses, the opportunities that you're looking to pursue, as well as the threats that you need to be mindful of every single day to make sure that you minimize. You have one dashboard that shows you all of that data in one view. As a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a business professional, you know how busy your day is, and you're running all over the place, and you're talking to this one, and you're talking to that one, and you got this data file, and that data file, and this data file. Sometimes you need a central organization. This is a fantastic tool to help you stay organized, to give you all this information in one location. The next reason why it's so powerful is it helps you identify the strengths and weaknesses of your organization, okay? What do we do good? What do we not do good? Now, here's the other thing that's important. Again, I'm going to go back to this football analogy. Tom Brady was not the most athletic individual. He admits that. He is perfectly aware of it. He didn't have the strongest arm. He wasn't the highest recruit out of college. He was drafted in the 6th round. But you know what? He said, I'm never going to be a running back, but I can improve my decision-making process. I'm not always going to have the best arm, but I can learn how to read defenses a lot more effectively. So, and your weaknesses, there are some weaknesses that you can practice to improve. There are some weaknesses that's just not going to happen. Can Tom Brady practice and improve his skills in reading a defense? Yes, and he did that. Can he become a running back? Absolutely not. It's just not in his athletic ability. That's not going to happen, right? You can try to work on maneuvers and different drills to try to juke and dodge defenders. Yeah, that's one thing. But you're not going to be, as fast as a running back. When you're looking at your weaknesses, there are some weaknesses that you can work on to improve. If you don't have the money for that expansion, well, maybe there's ways for you to get it. If you don't have the expertise in that area, well, maybe there's someone that you can hire in order to get that. But you can't take action unless you know what the weakness is, right? So this helps you to identify that. The strengths, what am I good at? Weaknesses, what do I need to improve upon? Or what do I need to stay away from? It helps you to identify your opportunities to grow. Where are those gaps in the marketplace? Where are those underserved clientele? What segments can I add on to my business? Could I potentially niche down and be more effective in this area? It helps you with risk management, obviously with the threat section. What could be a potential threat to my business? I need to be aware of this, right? So if you're a quarterback and all of a sudden someone got by the left tackle on your blind side, yes, the person got by the tackle. It's a threat. He could sack the quarterback. Wouldn't the quarterback rather know about it instead of just sitting there and getting drilled? Absolutely. Don't get drilled on the blind side of your business. Know what the potential threats are up front. So now you can be mindful of it and monitor it to see if it could actually be an impact down the road. All right. And here's the last one. I love this part. And this is really, like, if you are a manager right now and you manage other people, whether it's because you're the owner or managing a department, you should have a SWOT analysis for every single one of your team member. Have a half-hour conversation with every single one of them and catch up on this maybe once or twice a year. What are you good at? What are you not good at? Where can we put you in situations? What opportunities can we put you in that are in line with your strengths? What opportunities do we need to make sure that we keep you away from so you don't fail and you don't become a threat to the organization? Weaknesses. What weaknesses can we work on? Can we practice on? Can we improve on? Can we grow on? And what weaknesses just aren't going to happen? We just need to keep them away. All right? This is a fantastic tool for managers. Okay, we've gone through a lot so far. I get really excited when it comes to the SWOT analysis. It's a very effective tool. But now how do you execute it? What are the steps? Task one is you need to review the data. All right, what exactly am I talking about? How do you review the data? Well, a number of you have already done an industry trend analysis, right? So you've read up, you've done a Google search, or you've contacted the SBA, or you've contacted local business organizations, and you're starting to see different trends that are happening in real time in your industry. Okay, well, out of those trends, what is a strength for you? What is a weakness for you? What is an opportunity for you? What could be a threat? Wonderful. Put them in your SWOT analysis, right? Financial situation. What's going on in your financial situation right now? What's a strength? What's a weakness? Business analysis. If you're doing a business tool, if you're doing a CTQ, or you're doing a buyer persona or a targeting analysis, right? Or you're doing a competitive analysis or a perception map. As you're doing these business tools, and you're analyzing different elements of the business. And even in this platform, as you're working through each one of these elements of the platform, each one of these lessons in the platform, what is a strength for you? What is not? What is a weakness for you? You can jot it down. Company metrics, your KPI, key performance indicators. What metrics, what numbers are you looking at on a daily basis? What numbers are you looking at on a weekly basis, yearly basis? Personal observations. What are you observing as you go through your day? Case studies. If you are going through this training series and you're a student, you're probably going to have case studies that you're working through. SWOT is fantastic if you're doing a case study, because here's what you want to do. As you're reading the case study, you want to have your SWOT analysis right on the side of you, whether you're typing it out or you're writing it by hand. And here's how you use this. If you read your case study and all of a sudden it says, okay, this company grew 300% from 1990 to 1992, there's a stat. That's a data element. Instead of just like highlighting it or maybe come back to it, put it in your SWOT right there. Is that a strength? Is it a weakness? Is it an opportunity? Is it a threat? Boom, I can organize that data point right there. Okay, continue reading. Oh, I come to another data point. Hey, listen, it looks like coffee consumption is down. That could be a weakness. That could be a threat. Let me put it into the SWOT analysis right then and there. So what you want to do first is all the data points that you have, just start reviewing the data. And as you're reviewing the data, right, as you're reviewing the data, you want to categorize the data in your SWOT. So if you read something or you come across a report or you see a number or you see a research trend or you're reading something on the case study, if it's a positive for you, put it under the strengths. If it's a negative, put it under the weaknesses. If it's a potential area of growth, put it under the opportunities. If it could be a concern for you down the road, put it under threats. And make sure you quantify it with numbers if possible. Does that make sense? So it's not like you want to, hey, let me read this data and then come back to it next week and then start filling out the SWOT. Fill out the SWOT as you're looking at the data. As you're looking at the trends, put it in your SWOT. As you're looking at the case study, put it in the SWOT. As you're looking at the metrics that come into your business on a daily basis, put it in the SWOT. As you're looking at your consumer research surveys, put it into your SWOT. And you also want the SWOT to be a running document, just like your list of competitors. You want the SWOT to be a running document. Sometimes your weaknesses, you might not be a weakness anymore. Sometimes your strengths might not be a strength anymore. You might be adding strengths or adding weaknesses, adding opportunities, right? It should be a dynamic document that you are altering and modifying on a regular basis, okay? So I've looked at all my data points. I've organized them in my SWOT. Now what I want to do is I want to look at my opportunities. What gaps in the marketplace or unmet needs could I potentially profit on? What current solutions that consumers currently have could I make better? What substitutions are available for a current solution? Could I niche down or add new segments? Could I make something cheaper? But here's exactly what you want to do. You want to look at your strengths. And are there any strength that I have? Is there anything that I'm good at that I can convert into one of these new opportunities? What am I good at? How can I convert it into one of my opportunities? Then you want to look at your opportunities, all your brainstorming opportunities. What opportunity is best in line with my strengths? What opportunity is best in line with my strengths? Okay, if I see this opportunity, for example, to exploit this gap in the marketplace, do I have the resources for it? Do I have the expertise for it? Do I have the financials for it? Or can I get all those different resources that I needed to actually do this? Or is it's just not going to happen? Okay, let me go on to the next opportunity. All right? You're doing the matching game. First thing that you're doing is you're brainstorming different opportunities, gaps in the marketplace, unmet needs, solutions that you can make better, substitutes, niche down or add new segments, make it cheaper, right? Brainstorm all these opportunities that you have. Then you look at your strengths. What do you have the resources to effectively execute that strategy? And that is going to help you guide what opportunities are best for you. Okay? Task 4. Now we want to look at our threats. What threat or what threats could prevent your target from doing business with you? What is going to prevent your target audience from doing business with you? Let's write them down. What threat could come from your competition? Pastel. Political, economical, social, technological, environmental, legal. What threats are coming from those elements? Look at your weaknesses. What threats could those weaknesses turn into if you don't have the resources to execute that your competition has? How could that be a threat down the road? So on and so forth. But here's what also you want to do. You want to look at your opportunities. Look at your opportunities. What threat could prevent you from executing these opportunities? Why? Because now you can create contingency plans. Well, if I try to execute this opportunity, but A happens, okay, now I can shift to B. And then if C happens, okay, now I can shift to D. You're preparing for these contingencies ahead of time, right? So that, my friends, is the SWOT analysis, and that's how you use it effectively. Now, for some of you, this video is fantastic, and you can go run with this information. Some of you, it still might be confusing. It's okay. We are going to be launching case studies and examples almost on a weekly basis. And as we launch these case studies and examples, SWOT analysis is one of the tools that we're going to use in quite a lot of them. And as you start seeing me do this more and more and more, and you get used to it more and more and more, then you're going to be able to perfect this execution. Sound good? I hope you got a lot out of that lesson. Bible verse of the day, James 4:10. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you. Humility is sometimes one of the most challenging items for us as humans to actually partake in. And sometimes it is humble for us to put a God above us. And also times it is humble for us to realize there are things that we do not do well. And there are things that could be a threat to us. As I'm taking this biblical verse and applying it in a business format, when we're doing a SWOT analysis, we do have to be humble because there are things we're not good at, and we need to identify it. And we need to be okay with it. And we need to understand there are some things we're not good at that we can train and practice to make it better, and there's some things that we're just not going to be good at. We need to understand there could be threats that can come to our business. We're not going to fight off every threat. We need to be mindful of them. A SWOT analysis is a fantastic tool because not only does it help you to identify what you're good at, but also humbles you, keeps you in check, and realize there's things you might not be good at. But it's okay as long as you grow from it and you put your business in line with potential opportunities for you to succeed. So that's what you do in the business sense. And in the personal sense, humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you. That is today's video, folks. See you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.